In this video, we're going to go over ways to help you fight your hunger during your fast. My name is Heather Mondier. I'm an intermittent faster, and I'm here to help you along your fasting journey, as well as show you progress, tips, and tricks that I've learned along the way throughout mine. So you might be new to the idea of intermittent fasting, and the very first thing that's going to pop in your mind is, how on earth am I going to fight the hunger? I can barely make it between meals. I need some help. Or you might be afraid to even start fasting because your fear is keeping you from even wanting to try skipping a meal. One of the first things that I've had to learn early on is it's okay to feel hungry. And I think we have this misconception that we're gonna feel hungry and it's gonna grow and grow to an unbearable, intolerable amount of hunger, and we're just going to die, or we feel like we're starving to death. You're going to feel hungry. However, we do have some ways to combat that. But first of all, getting into the mindset that it's okay to feel hungry and that you're not doing anything wrong because you feel hungry. So if you're really new to fasting, I want you to pace yourself. I want you to take a step back and look at the schedule that you've chosen to fast on. Maybe you went too aggressive too fast, and that's one reason why you're so hungry. You really haven't given yourself a chance to adapt to this new way of life, and you might keep adding on hours of the day that you're fasting, even though you're feeling kind of miserable, and you're trying to think, how is this a sustainable way to keep eating or not eating? So if you're new to fasting, or even if you've already started, I want to encourage you to pace yourself. Be forgiving. It's okay if you mess up, and it's also okay to start over again. And so my suggestion for you would be, maybe this next week or the next 7 days, you can fast for 12 hours and have an eating window of 12 hours. And then on week 2, why don't you bump it up and only have an eating window of 10 hours? And then on week 3, you can have an eating window of 8. And then in week 4, an eating window of 6. So you're only eating between, let's say, 12 noon and 6 p.m. at that point. Or if you find a window that is working better for you and it feels more comfortable and doable, sustainable, because we want to be able to do this for a lifetime. This isn't just a crash diet. It's not a one-time you just fast for a week and all of a sudden you're at your goal weight. We all know that's unrealistic. I would like to encourage you to pace yourself, be patient. I am preaching to the choir, let me tell you. I am impatient. I'm like, I want results now. Now, I am getting results, but even though I'm getting great results, it's still not even at the pace that I wish it was at. And that's just something that we all have to kind of battle with. And in terms of hunger and how all of the schedule stuff relates to hunger, is all I'm saying is maybe you jumped the gun, maybe you went too big too fast. And that's okay. You might have been super excited about fasting. You jumped in, you fasted for 23 hours the first day. I did that. And now I'm struggling sometimes to make my 16-hour fasts. And so it's just kind of a learning process. We're all in this together. I am struggling with hunger and everything just like you are. And so that's why I'm here to not only help you with some tips, but to also preach to the choir. So one thing that I've noticed is whenever I start a new diet or some kind of eating plan, as soon as they say you can have this, this, and this, but not this, this, and this, I immediately want those things that I can't have. And obviously, by living in a diet mindset, you feel like you're being deprived. I want to challenge you to change your mindset about fasting. It's not about what you can and can't have. It's about, when can I have it? You can shift it to, I can't have that soda, to, I can have it during my eating window. Now, by the time your eating window rolls around, your craving for whatever that item was may be gone, and you may not even want it anymore. And so for me, this has been a huge mindset shift. And it's been very freeing, because I feel like if I see a cupcake and I want it, okay, that's fine. I don't feel like I can't have it. I just feel like I can have it later. And that has been a huge, huge motivator, honestly. I mean, because once you start introducing the you can't have this list, you do immediately want it. So it's definitely one of those things where you just have to shift that way of thinking that I'm really starving right now. I really, really want a bag of Cheetos. That just sounds so good. But I can't have it now because I'm fasting right now. But in a couple of hours from now, you can have it. So just think about that. Whenever you're feeling deprived and you're getting a little bit down about the fact that you feel like you can't have the things that you want, just have it later. Now, I'm gonna give you a couple of kind of obvious ones, but I kind of feel like the obvious ones slip through the cracks. So if you're hungry, I want you to drink some water. Get a bottle of water, pour yourself a glass of water, sit down and enjoy it. Just take 2 minutes out of your day to chug a bottle of water, whatever, and you might be dehydrated. You could be feeling hungry, but be mistaking that for needing water. I think that part of breaking the cycle of eating all the time does include drinking so much water. So if you're feeling hungry, honestly, grab some water. You know, go brew yourself a nice cup of green tea. I've never been a fan of green tea. However, recently, while beginning fasting, I feel like there are only a limited number of things that you can have while you're in your fasting window. And so I decided to go ahead and give it another try. I've never been a fan of it, but for some reason, the warmth and just the flavor, it's very light and I'm really enjoying it. So even if you haven't really been into green tea in the past, I want to encourage you to just try it. So it's very likely that you came across this video because you were searching about intermittent fasting on YouTube. You were searching how to handle hunger, what to do, looking for tips and tricks, and you're gonna find a lot of different videos. In this video, I want to encourage you not to fall for the tricks that involve adding food or sweeteners or other things to your drinks to stave off hunger. I just want to caution you not to add things to your water and to your tea and to your coffee. Even though you're being told by various people that it's okay, to me, if I'm working really hard to fast and I'm not really sure if adding such and such item is going to break my fast, I honestly would rather do without. I'd rather find a different way to deal with the hunger than adding things that might undo all the hard work that I've been doing. So my suggestion is don't add anything to your water or your tea or your coffee and use some of these other tricks that I'm going to give you in this video. I feel like together we can come up with different ways to help stave off the hunger rather than potentially sabotaging the fasting that we're doing. If you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting more interesting tips and tricks to help you along your journey, as well as providing you with updates on how my journey is going and the experiences that I've had so far. So another kind of obvious tip, but maybe it's not that obvious, is when you're feeling hungry, get up and do something else. Go outside and go for a walk. Why don't you think about a hobby that you used to dream about doing and pick that hobby up? You could pick up an old hobby that you really didn't have time for before, but now that you're not spending all your time eating, thinking about eating, planning eating, cleaning up after it, you might have more time to revisit an old hobby of yours. You could just do something as simple as finding a podcast about fasting or any other interest that you have, or sit down and read a book, or just change your atmosphere. If you're sitting there in front of the TV feeling hungry, why don't you stand up and do something else? Fold some laundry, do something, just be active with your hands. One thing that I've found helpful is to visualize positive outcomes from doing the fasting. How are you going to reach your goals? Is fasting helping you reach your goals? It's going to be worth it. Once we reach that goal weight or those goal pair of jeans or activities, like maybe your goal is to just be able to go out for a hike and just not be winded. Maybe you're more interested in just being able to run around in the yard with your kids without feeling like you're huffing and puffing and having a hard time keeping up. I want you to visualize some of those things whenever you're sitting around thinking about breaking your fast because you have a craving, some commercial comes on and it just interrupts your stability and you're feeling strong and all of a sudden you're feeling real weak and like you want to give in and you're like, you know what, I've been fasting for 12 hours. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to go ahead. I want to encourage you to push through. I want you to think about why you started this to begin with and really visualize what it's going to be like once you reach your goal. On the flip side, I want you to visualize what happens if you don't. I want you to think about that for a minute. You have these goals, you have all these things you want to achieve. If you start breaking your fast now, and then you might break it tomorrow, and you might not fast at all the next day, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of back to where you were. Visualize the negative outcomes that could happen. It might be that you're pre-diabetic and you're trying to reverse that. You don't want to end up where you get that diagnosis anyways. You might be overweight right now and thinking, I don't know what it would be like if I gained 10, 20, 30 more pounds on top of what I already am today. I want you to think about your why. Why are you doing this? Focus on that whenever you're feeling weak, whenever you're feeling like giving up. When you're feeling so hungry you feel like you can't stand it. Change your atmosphere. Do something else. One of my favorite things to do is to grab a drink of water, and while I'm drinking it, I want to imagine that my body is just using my fat for fuel. My body is utilizing the energy that I have stored on my body, and it's just starting to melt away. There's nothing better than a little fat melting away pep talk to get my hunger to hush. So today's question of the day is, what methods have you used to stave off hunger while fasting? Leave a comment below. I would love to see all the different tips and tricks that you're already using. And if you don't really have any tips to give to the others that are watching this video, could you make a suggestion of the ones that I mentioned during this video that you think will actually help you? I'd love to see what your thoughts are on them. So speaking of your body utilizing your own fat for fuel, I'd like to recommend a book that I've been reading. I have it on audiobook, but it's called Life in the Fasting Lane. And I went ahead and bought a copy because you know me, I want to be able to highlight, mark pages, and make notes. And this book is so great because you get the experience of just a regular person who's done intermittent fasting with success. You get a lot of facts from a girl who is a researcher in this subject. And on top of that, you have Dr. Jason Fung, who is one of the kind of founders, kind of fathers of fasting. And so you get the medical side opinion, you get the real world experience opinion, and I really love this book because they really dive deep into some of the science that surrounds how fasting works, why it works. I would encourage you to check that book out. It's really wonderful. I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. I'll leave a link in the description below for Life in the Fasting Lane so you can pick that up if you're interested. If you want to learn more about how to start fasting and what to do and how easy it truly is, I would like to encourage you to watch my previous video, and I will link this below, and that way you can check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!